Hello everyone and welcome to my channel. Sit back, relax, and get ready for a new video. If you're new here, please follow for more interesting psychology facts. Today we're talking about something that a lot of people struggle with, but don't always recognize right away: overt narcissism in friendships. Most of us have had at least one friend who made us feel drained, confused, or even guilty for things we shouldn't feel guilty about. And sometimes, that behavior stems from narcissistic traits, especially the overt or grandiose type. In this video, I'll walk you through 8 signs your friend might actually be an overt narcissist. Stick around to the end, because I'll also give you a few tips on how to protect your mental health if you recognize these patterns in someone you know. Let's get started. Overt narcissists crave attention like it's oxygen. In friendships, this often shows up as them always needing praise, whether it's about how they look, their achievements, or even mundane things they believe they excel at. You might have noticed that conversations consistently loop back to them. If you congratulate them, they light up. But if you don't react with enough enthusiasm, they become noticeably irritated, withdrawn, or even passive-aggressive. For example, maybe they tell a story about something they did, and instead of asking how you've been, they jump right into another story about themselves. Or they'll drop comments like, "Did you even notice what I did?" or "No one appreciates how amazing I am." Sometimes they might even outright demand admiration. This isn't normal confidence, it's a constant hunger for validation. And in friendships, it can leave you feeling like you exist just to boost their ego. 2. A strong sense of entitlement. Another hallmark of overt narcissism is entitlement. Your friend may genuinely believe they deserve special treatment because they're them. Maybe they expect you to rearrange your plans for them, or they feel offended if you don't respond to their messages right away, even though they take forever to reply to yours. You'll notice that the relationship feels unbalanced. They want favors, constant availability, emotional support, and attention, but they rarely give those things back. Entitled friends might also assume they're automatically welcome to anything you're doing. They believe rules don't apply to them, and when something doesn't go their way, they act shocked, insulted, or angry. They often feel like they are much more deserving of success than their peers. This sense of superiority isn't subtle. It's loud, it's bold, and it often leaves you wondering, why do they think they're above everyone else? 3. They lack empathy. Overt narcissists struggle deeply with empathy. They simply don't have the emotional capacity or desire to understand or care about what you feel. If you're upset, they may minimize your feelings or redirect the moment back to themselves. For example, you share something painful and they respond with something like, "Okay, but that's not a big deal," or "You think that's bad? Listen to what happened to me." Even worse, they often enjoy when someone else is doing bad. Overt narcissists need someone to look down on in order to feel better about their own lives. They may also overlook boundaries because they don't consider how their actions impact others. When you express discomfort, they act confused or annoyed, almost like your emotions are an inconvenience to them. Over time, this lack of empathy can be incredibly damaging. You start to feel invisible, like your emotional world doesn't matter in the friendship. 4. They dominate conversations. A typical overt narcissist doesn't just like talking, they need to dominate the conversation. They constantly interrupt and talk over you. They redirect the topic back to themselves. Sometimes, they might even pretend like they didn't hear what you said and just ignore you. Even when you try to share something important, they often reply with a quick, "Yeah, anyway," and continue with their own story. Conversations with them don't feel like mutual exchanges. They feel like performances where you're the audience. If you try to voice your thoughts, they might dismiss them or talk louder. They may even get irritated if they're not the center of every discussion. They also love playing devil's advocate and proving you wrong. When they can find anything to disagree with you on, they will. This is a subtle way of making you feel incompetent or dumb and undermining your self-confidence. This can make spending time with them exhausting because you're not really connecting, you're just listening. 5. They can't handle criticism. One of the clearest signs of overt narcissism is defensiveness. These friends do not handle criticism well, even when it's gentle, constructive, or necessary. If you point out something they did that hurt you, they might deny it ever happened, blame someone else, twist your words, accuse you of being overreactive, or even explode in anger. They may also rewrite history to make themselves look better or justify their actions. And if they're blatantly wrong about something, they'll avoid admitting it at all costs. For them, being wrong feels like a threat to their identity. So instead of taking responsibility, they attack, deflect, or withdraw. An overt narcissist will often choose to attack. This behavior can leave you feeling guilty for even trying to have a healthy conversation. 6. They compete with you. Friendship usually means supporting each other, but with an overt narcissist, it often turns into a competition. Maybe you share good news, you got a promotion, started a new project, or accomplished a goal, and instead of being happy for you, they immediately try to one-up you. If you succeed, they feel threatened. If you fail, they feel superior. They might mimic your achievements, downplay your progress, or shift the spotlight back to their own accomplishments. This competitive nature can be subtle at first, but over time you'll notice a pattern. Your moments of joy trigger envy, not celebration. A healthy friend lifts you up. A narcissistic friend sees your success as a challenge. 7. They manipulate through gesture and charm. Overt narcissists are known for being charming, sometimes extremely charming. They're charismatic, confident, and can make a strong first impression. At times, they may use grand gestures to win you over or pull you back in whenever there's tension in the relationship. This could look like buying you something unexpectedly, giving exaggerated compliments, sharing deep, vulnerable stories to create connection, promising to change. But these gestures often come with an agenda. They're not doing it out of genuine emotional investment, they're doing it to maintain control, admiration, or influence. It's a cycle. They charm, right pointing arrow behave badly, right pointing arrow charm again, right pointing arrow regain power. This pattern can be confusing, especially because their good moments feel so convincing. 8. They struggle with intimacy and accountability. On the surface, overt narcissists may seem confident and self-assured. But underneath, they often have fragile self-esteem, which makes real emotional intimacy extremely difficult for them. When conversations start to get deeper, when real vulnerability is required, they often pull away, shut down, or redirect the topic. They might avoid apologizing, avoid discussing your needs, or avoid acknowledging how their behavior impacts you. True accountability threatens their self-image, so they dodge it at all costs. This makes it very hard to build a stable, trusting friendship with them. You might feel like you're always giving more than you're receiving, emotionally, mentally, and sometimes even physically. If you recognize multiple signs from this video, don't panic, but do take it seriously. Here are a few tips. Set firm boundaries. Narcissists push limits unless clearly stopped. Limit emotional vulnerability. Share carefully and protect your peace. Stop feeding their ego. Neutral responses can reduce toxic dynamics. Distance yourself if necessary. Your mental health always comes first. Remember, it is not your job to fix or heal someone who refuses to acknowledge their own behavior. Thanks so much for watching. If you found this video helpful, make sure to give it a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, and leave a comment below telling me which sign stood out to you the most. Take care of yourselves, set healthy boundaries, and I'll see you in the next video.